Thank you for joining me today. This is Jennifer with Studio J Creations, and today is a very exciting day because the new annual catalog launches. So here it is in front of you, the May 21 through April 22 annual catalog. And I'm not really going to walk through it at all other than just to page through. When I get the new catalog, it's always fun to look and to see the new items. But the first place I go is to see what the new in colors are. So here are our new in colors for 21 through 23. Fresh Freesia, Polished Pink, Evening Evergreen, and then the two that are my favorite so far, Soft Succulent and Pale Papaya. So we are going to use these in colors to create a project today. So here are the items from the new catalog that we're going to use to create this project. Of course, we have the Stampin Seal and the liquid glue, some little gemstones called Genial Gems that match the colors perfectly, Stampin' Dimensionals, the two new in colors that I mentioned, Soft Succulent and Pale Papaya, we'll use those, the Quiet Meadow stamp set and the Meadow Dies. Those come either individually or in a bundle, and those are on page 110 and 160 of the new catalog. And then we'll be using this designer series paper called Hand Penned, and it is images of flowers that look like they are hand penned and then filled in with ink. So for this card, we're going to specifically use this one because it has the greens and the oranges in it that we want to use in our card. So I have already prepped what we're going to use for the card. So this is the typical 8.5 by 11 cut in half, folded in half. And as you can see, I have taken two of the images from the Quiet Meadow set and just inked a little bit with the Soft Succulent ink for a background. I have also inked all of the images on this piece of paper just so that I could get a look at how do they look and what do I want to use. For the papers here, I have a basic white cardstock cut to 2.75 inches by 4.25 inches, and we're going to use that right as is. I've inked the image from the Quiet Meadow set. I have a background piece of paper here as well. This is cut to, I believe I cut this to 3 inches by 4 inches. Because this is 12 by 12, I wanted to get as many as I could out of that 12 by 12 paper. So I cut it a little bit different size, which really works out just fine. So I have these two. I have 3 images that I cut out of the dies. Often I like to show you, my process for cutting things out with the Stampin' Cut and Emboss. But today I'm going to keep this short so that you can then go to my website, studiojcreations.com, and take a look at the new catalog. I'm using the Cinnamon Cider cardstock as well that I cut out of these dies, and they all really coordinate nicely with the stamp set. So here's that label die that I have cut out. And then 2 of the Genial Gems, and you can just see how nicely those match, those 2 colors. So we're going to go ahead and put this together using the Stampin Seal. So I have my patterned paper that I am going to put off at a little bit of an angle here in between my inked background images. And the Stampin' Seal launched with the catalog a year ago, a little bit stickier than the snail adhesive, and the trick with it is flipping it upside down before detaching from the paper. So I'm going to position this at an angle right there, and then I'm going to do the same thing with this other one and just offset it a little bit so that I can see the designer series paper peeking out from behind there. Maybe get that one down a little bit lower. All right, for the tag, I'm going to use some Stampin' Dimensionals so that we can get just a bit of a popped out effect on that. I'm going to put those on there, and I'm going to decide which one of my images that I want here. So I think I'm going to use the Thinking of You, and I'm just going to trim it straight right along here. And often I would use a rectangle punch or a little tag die, but for this one I'm just gonna trim it down, put a little bit of the Stampin' Seal on the back, and then center that right there on my tag. All right, so I'm going to stick that one over the top of the two other papers, taking off the back of the dimensionals, lining that up straight. So then I have the Meadow Die images, and I'm going to decide how to position those. I think what I'm going to do is put the tall one in the back here, so that goes almost to the top of the card. Now I'm going to use the liquid glue and put just a couple dots on the back of the leaves there. I don't need to have one on every one, just here and there. This really bonds paper to paper very, very well. So I'm going to slide that down under there. Make sure I have it far enough down so that I clear the top of the card, and then just push it down for a second and it will stick. So I've got another one in that same color. I'm going to put that one a little bit lower. Tuck this one. Actually, nope, I'm going to go a little bit higher with this one. And I'm going to tear the evergreen, the evening evergreen one, real short so that I can put it in the front. And I'm going to do the same thing with the liquid glue. Few dots here and there is just plenty to hold this on. And I'm going to be careful not to stick it down until I have it where I want it, right there at the edge. Hold that down. And then this one is going to go over the front, and same thing, just a few little dots of the liquid glue. And really no right or wrong way to put these down. Just a bit of a mix of the inked images and the die cut images. So then the last thing we're going to do is use the gems. Now, I could put these, there's a little bit of white space there, a little bit of white space there, and I think I'm actually going to put one gem here, and I'm going to put the other one up here at the top so that I am kind of spreading that out a little bit. I'm going to trim off the tail right under there, and the edge of my flower went past the edge there, so flip it over and just line that up and trim those ends right off. Now, like I showed you, I've got all these different images that I inked, so I'm just gonna real quickly fussy cut around this flower, and I will put that on the inside. I could also use one of the smaller flowers or the other greeting. So the greetings in this set say, heartfelt love and caring thoughts are with you. You're too kind, love and thinking of you. So those are the different greetings inside. Big flower, the stem of flowers that I've used today, and then 2 tiny little flowers that also are with that. That would be fun to punch out with a little circle. So I've fussy cut that one, and then I'm going to take it and I'm going to just put it on the inside, just a real subtle addition to the inside of the card. So put that right there, and I have also pre-inked my envelope with the same thing. And I'll bring in another one here, a different version that I did of the same thing. You can see how it looks a little bit different. I used some of the different die cuts, put the gems down here. I curled that corner up a little bit. So 2 different versions of the same card. So thank you for joining me. You can see all of the details in the show notes on my website at studiojcreations.com and see the link to the new catalog.